I hope that's how things break for you.
Yeah.
Actually, what will really happen is you will wake up and you will have 6 hours to go.
And I'll have my issue of The Economist with me, and I'll just read for a while. You know, I'll be fine.
Maybe one of those books on tape that we listen to in the room.
No,
Are you past that?
I've never. No, I didn't. I've never books on tape.
Was it newspaper on tape? You listened to something of a man reading. It was embarrassing.
It was a documentary on YouTube. It was a man talking.
It was embarrassing.
He may have had a script for all I know, but he was talking. He wasn't reading.
Make sure you bring that with you. I wouldn't want you to get bored on the plane.
I'll be fine, man. Don't got to worry about me.
Deal. See if either player are going to keep their hands here. Again, Anderson will be on the draw. Camidge will be on the play. Camidge going to start with a mountain. I think Goblin God would be a pretty good start. That one's good too.
The Grim. This is the start. And you just get this thing into play ASAP because you never know. You can't afford to give this up. Even if it's Goblin God, I'm still playing Lavamancer on turn 1.
Really?
Yes.
I'm a little surprised, but I mean, I believe you, but I'm surprised.
I mean, you can get turn 2 or turn 3 where the Lavamancer activation doesn't matter.
Oh, there's from Lavamancer.
Just cast that thing.
Anderson going to draw a card, draws natural order for the turn. You see the forest in hand already. And here's the first thing that can be picked off. It's a Aquarian Ranger. Now, I think the tough thing here, and the big decision that Camidge will have to make is which elves are you supposed to kill, because you don't have unlimited ammo.
Yeah. The thing that I didn't like there was I also would have cracked the fetch land on turn 1 instead of playing the mountain, because that means if Camidge found another fetch land, it's just easier to get the graveyard full. There's no real point in slow rolling the fetch land. He's going to main phase his Searing Blazes for the most part anyway. And now he's drawn another fetch land this turn, which means he can't easily kill this Aquarian Ranger if he's feeling so inclined.
Mm-hmm. So Camidge is down to 19. Light total doesn't seem to matter a ton in this matchup for Camidge, just because I feel like if he's going to lose, he's going to take a whole bunch more than 19.
Yeah.
There is a Searing Blaze. 3 damage is going to come across. Anderson down to 17. Let's make it 16.
Good start here. Now, Lavamancer, it's online. He has plenty of mana to work with, although Camidge's hand is quite land heavy.
Yeah, there's a Foothills, there's a Mountain, there's a Price of Progress. That one's not so great here. And I think a Goblin Guide. So that Lavamancer's going to be working overtime.
Yep. I think it's Rift Bolt, 2 lands, and Price. Not a great hand.
You've got a better eye for those burn cards than me.
Yeah. So last turn, for example, if Bryan is able to go fetch land, that turn he can go Lavamancer, your Aquarian Ranger, and suspend Rift Bolt. Keep the Searing Blaze in hand, which I think is a little bit better of a setup.
There's a Forest. Maybe a Zenith for 1. Yep. I wonder what Anderson wants to search for here. Deathray doesn't seem bad, but I mean, whatever you search for is likely just going to die.
I mean, it has to be something that forces the action. I mean, there's 2 ways to play. Something that forces the action or something innocuous enough that Bryan may not kill it.
Looks like it may be a copy of Fidhorn Elves. That's kind of a lame elf, but I think it's worth dying.
Makes mana. I mean, gotta kill it. It's not even clear if Bryan can beat next turn natural order for a Crater Hoof, start attacking you with a 5/5.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's good enough.
Wooded Foothills to start things off here for Camidge.
I mean, I think this is a pretty straightforward turn of Lavamancer this Findhorn Elf, play your guide, suspend the Rift Bolt.
There's a guide to start. In for 2 we go. Trigger. Elvish Visionary. Looks like maybe a Lavamancer activation. This could be the suspension of Rift Bolt, and it is. And you may wait here.
Waiting it's a huge risk. I mean, giving Ian a mana and an untapped creature and a natural order target, all that. Just, I don't know if Bryan thinks that maybe Ian is in range of getting burned out here, but I don't think that's the case.
Kind of saying doing your worst, and there's a lot of bad things he can do.
Yeah.
Because while he may not natural order for creator of this turn, this gives him a mana to be able to do something like play Elvish Visionary, play another elf, and set up a big kill the next turn.
Yeah. And you have so much removal here. You have a Lavamancer activation. You have a Ripple coming off, another Lavamancer activation. If Ian just starts deploying creatures to the table, you beat that pretty easily. And if he does nothing, then you can start burning. But I think giving Ian a creature on the main phase here is a big risk.
Ian thought about sacrificing that fetch land. Now he's going to wait. He may have just passed the turn here. No, he's going to sacrifice as well. Okay. It looks like the sacrifice is in response here to Anderson's sacrifice. So, yeah, and he's doing this right now, which again, I just don't love this. Like, if your intentions are killing the Finhor Elves, you just do it on your own turn.
Nothing has changed,
Yeah.
information-wise.
So you've just given Anderson a free green mana.
And Bryan with lots of ways to contain creatures, but he still has to be careful about the board getting out of control here. And I believe, yes, the elf player Ian here, out of forests to go fetch. So now he's opening himself a little bit to price of progress here. He has to start fetching bayous and whatnot.
So we got a green mana floating here for Anderson. And a Visionary is not a bad place to start. Scavenging Ooze is pretty good in this matchup too. There's Visionary, gonna go cantripping. There's another Visionary, all right.
Yeah, Ooze is not shabby.
So here's 2 mana. There's another Visionary, okay. So cantripping again.
And that's the cost for allowing Ian to have that extra mana there.
And again, this matchup is razor thin because Elves has the ability to kill you very quickly. So again, giving another mana can end up losing you the game.
And I think now Bryan needs to pivot and just go after Ian. I don't think he can really contain the board anymore.
I think he's just going upstairs. He's going to put him to 9.
He has 9, price of progress is 7, Lavamancer activation is 5. So this Goblin Guide, he's got to do something with it. I mean, it's likely Ian has a chump block, which is not bad for Bryan.
Yeah, Mountain's not ideal. The draw there. Camidge starting to float out a little bit. Here comes Goblin Guide. There will be a trigger here. Well,
Not the best.
didn't expect
Not the best.
didn't expect to see the Rurik Thar show up to the party. That one is interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it does cost Camidge to take 6 if he casts a burn spell.
It's like a big Eidolon, basically.
Yeah.
It's very close. So yeah, Ian deciding here if he's, I believe, probably deciding between chump blocking or double blocking.
I think you have to chump.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I take that back. There has to be a block, either a chump or a double.
Right.
But there has to be a block. Now, double blocking doesn't look great just because Lavamancer's on the table. Could see maybe a price of progress get cast here, but I think you can wait.
Yeah, Ian may commit another land. Again, he is out of forest, so any fetching that goes on from this point involves getting a non-basic.
There's an activation of Grim to take down the Visionary. Anderson going to take a draw here. There is the Rurik Thar. Misty Rainforest. Scavenging Ooze seems like a delight now.
This is a good spot for it.
It'll be too big to kill. There's creatures in the graveyard.
This is a big fetch right here. Taking a point and getting a non-basic.
Yeah, because what can happen right now is Anderson plays Scavenging Ooze, activates twice, goes up to 10. Price puts you back down to 6.
And then Price or Fire Blast plus the Lavamancer
Yep,
is
there it is.
lethal.
If you don't think old Basic Mountain here sees every angle.
Oh, when I see a fetch land getting sacked, my eyes light up. Christmas in June.
You said down to 8, right?
Excuse me, where are you at?
Yeah. There's the ooze.
It is time.
Let's gain 1.
There's a lot of food for that ooze there, too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is easily able to win the game on its own here.
Yep.
If Ian can get to next turn.
This seems to be like the big turn. Ooh,
Oh.
passing.
Now, a second Price doesn't kill because he doesn't know. Oh, he has a 5th land. Okay.
A lava spike. Yeah, the reason you see Anderson leave up the 1 mana is so it doesn't die to Lightning Bolt. I'm not sure he can try to play around Lightning Bolt right now.
Well, the
though.
problem now is that if he doesn't respond to the Lava Spike,
Did he just die?
well, there's
Maybe.
6 points of instant speed. He then has to untap.
Yeah, sure.
So I would start this off by just spiking and seeing how Ian responds.
Your thoughts on this attack with Goblin Guide?
I guess he's trying to kill the ooze.
Potentially. I mean, I think the thought process here is I need something in my graveyard for Grim Lavamancer.
Yeah, and he may not be able to beat the ooze. I think that you get some upside here about just starting the turn with casting Lava Spike. If Ian responds, then I don't mind this attack if he gains a life with the Scavenging Ooze. Otherwise, you can say go, and if Ian gets sloppy, he just loses the game.
I actually like this attack just because you also have to be scared of Searing Blood-esque effects. The reality of the situation is that Searing Blood and Searing Blaze, whatever it will be, it's just going to be good no matter what because they're going to deal damage upstairs, and Searing Blaze is in the main deck. So, Ian is obviously valuing his ooze very highly, which you can tell. And so that's why I think that this is a beautiful attack. I don't think he's going to block. He's going to go to 7.
And then Brian's got him.
So you can fire off the spike, put him to 4. Yep, fire off Price. Yep, that is beautiful. That is beautiful.
Oof.
Bryan Camidge is going to win game number 1 here over Ian Anderson with a beautiful attack there from Goblin Guide. Burn up a game over Elves.
I thought that attack was too risky. But if Ian's not going to block there, that is beautiful for Brian. I mean, was able to steal that game before Scavenging Ooze took over.
You got to risk it to get the biscuit.
Oh, that is true.
Bryan Camidge wins game number 1 here. We'll bring it back to the booth as it is trivia time. Patrick's got the 6-month question. I've got the rules very quickly. Hashtag SCG Premium with your answer. Make sure you're following SCG Live. We'll announce the winner of our 6-month giveaway at the conclusion of our semifinal round. And as usual, all giveaways here with Star City Games are at the sole discretion of us. Twitch.tv, no way affiliated in what we do as far as our premium giveaways are concerned. Mr. Sullivan.
So, elves in the elimination rounds here in our semifinal match. A lot of creatures, of course, most of them elves.
Yep.
One non-elf, not aptly named in an elf deck. It is a red-green legend that appears as a natural order target. Name that card.
And if you can, hashtag your answer, with the hashtag SCG Premium. Make sure you're following SCG Live. And once again, we will announce the conclusion. We announce the winner at the conclusion of our semifinal round as we do turn our attention back to the match here between Anderson and Camidge. Really good game 1. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, Brian's attack there is gutsy, but I think in that spot, the reason that I think that attack is gutsy is because I think Ian's supposed to block there nearly 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Can't really, if he has anything good in his hand, you can't take 2 there. So I think the block kind of dictates itself.
The reason that you could make that attack if you're Brian is simply because Ian didn't activate Scavenging Ooze on his turn prior.
Right.
That's how you know that you can make the attack because he is valuing that card so highly in that situation. And he may be misevaluating that card in that situation. So you can attack because he's under the belief that, hey, this ooze is going to win me the game if I untap, so there's no way I can let this go.
Especially with Glimpse on top of your deck, you may be able to just go off next turn. Once you see that on the guide reveal. But anyhow, on Brian's sideboard here, 2 Ensnaring Bridges, 3 Relic of Progenitus, 3 Vacuum Shusher, 2 Mindbreak Trap, 2 Searing Blood, and 3 Smash to Smithereens. There's a lot of cards on the surface that look potentially appealing here, especially the Ensnaring Bridges. If I'm Brian, I'm just bringing in the 2 Searing Bloods, cutting the 2 copies of Price of Progress, and calling it a day.
What do you like there for Anderson?
2 Billion Needle, 3 Abrupt Decay, a Mindbreak Trap, 2 Swan Song, and Edric, a Progenitus, 3 Cabal Therapy, 2 Thoughtseize. I think the discard spells are excellent in this matchup. I think Ian wants all of them. And I think he wants to bring in his copy of Progenitus as well. That's just a very easy natural order kill.
Matchup feels close. It's fun to watch, actually. The posturing.
Oh, I mean, the games are going to be close.
Look at Burn go.
It's
What is happening on the Open Series?
too many Delver decks. We've seen less and less Sneak and Show over time.
It's definitely trending downward. Definitely.
Storm, Dredge. You don't see a lot of these decks.
No, I think it's interesting, right? Because if we're in the Midwest or the East, where like Todd and CVM and some other players can go that play Sneak and Show, and you presumably have to get through them to win the tournament, maybe that influences deck choice. Over here, it doesn't seem to influence it because we saw a lot of Burn here
Yeah.
that I don't think we expected to see. And it seemed like Burn was a good choice given what people are playing in the tournament.
For sure. And this elimination rounds is not bad for Burn at all. I mean, how many actively bad matchups are there? 2.5, I guess?
Belcher, Miracles. You could argue Blue Red Delver.
I actually think the Blue-White-Red Delver matchup is worse than the Miracles matchup.
Okay.
But so we're in like 2.5 deck territory here.
Okay. You think Blue Red Delver's pretty tough?
Yeah, they have Stoneforge Mystic. Stoneforge Mystic plus Daze plus Force of Will is really hard to beat. They get openings that you literally cannot beat.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and it's not like their backup plans are bad against you, too. I mean, they can just Delver and tempo you out there, too. The fact that they have Swords of Plowshares removal is annoying because they can gain life periodically off their own stuff. They have Bolts, which cuts entire turns off the game. That's something that Bug doesn't have, for example.
Ian Anderson will be on the play here for game number 2.
And this is the type of game where Searing Blood, Grim Lavamancer may not be fast enough. Elves can outpace it on the play.
The game is wildly different when you're on the draw of your Burn.
Yeah.
You can get run over real quick by Craterhoof, Progenitus being natural ordered for on turn 3 and not be able to kill in time.
It's especially hard when Elves is on the play post-board because just going and getting Progenitus super fast is hard to beat.
You know, the interesting thing I've noticed too on the Open Series recently is that, normally when we'd cover these events, we would see certain people play combo elves.
Yeah.
Ross Merriam, Riley Curran, Chris Anderson when he was playing more. Reed Duke branched out a little bit in Philadelphia and played it. He started playing in a few tournaments. Now it seems like more people are branching out. Sam Black interested in this deck. Owen Turtenwald has played this deck in a few tournaments. And it seems like it's very daunting. And it is, like the mechanics of the deck are certainly difficult, but once you actually get the iterations down and the things that it can do, more people are starting to pick it up here, and it is performing quite well.
Yeah, and it's a deck that's gotten better over time just because of the addition of new content, and the deck just getting better and better builds of it coming out. I'm surprised people gravitated towards it because it's so hard to play. I mean, there's so many complexities, little nuances in playing the deck. It's not something I would be comfortable playing cold, that's for sure.
This is not unless you're an elite Magic player, this is not your pick up and play sort of deck.
No way. No way.
I feel like the only reason I would consider playing this deck is because I've watched it so many times, so I see kind of some of the things they do. But if I hadn't watched it before, or at least watched it as often as I have, I would embarrass myself.
It's helpful getting to watch Ross Merriam because his operations are really tight with the deck. He knows how all the cards interact with one another. So he's been the most informative for me to watch.
And I actually like that's one of the things I actually like about Elves, though, is all the interactions are sweet.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the cool things about the deck is just the use of Quirion Ranger and Deathrite Chime to be able to deal a bunch of damage, and Wirewood Symbiote plus Elvish Visionary, and all these little tricks that if your opponent doesn't really know them, they can get blown out by them. But if they do know them, there might be a situation where they can't do anything about it. I think that's really cool.
It's a tribal deck. I mean, there's so many synergies, and it's all inside the same creature type, which is really cool.
It also just does things that it seems like green deck shouldn't be able to do, which is draw a bunch of cards and be resilient. You think of green as just the big dumb idiots for the most part, just efficient creatures, and this is the direct opposite of that.
Yeah.
All the Tarmogoyfs of the world. Well, to be fair, Tarmogoyf is a blue card in disguise.
Yeah. But
Let's just call it what it is.
There's a lot of Magic cards. A lot of the best green cards are blue cards in disguise. Oath of Druid, Survival of the Fittest, Eternal Witness. There's a long history.
I guess that's true. Speaking of which, I was actually going to ask you this weekend, Survival. Can we unban it?
If it's close because of power level, which it may or may not be, I'm not really that interested in unbanning a really powerful card that adds a lot of shuffling to Legacy.
All right.
That's kind of where I'm at.
All right.
I think power level, it's probably slightly over the line. I don't think it would be the best thing to be doing in Legacy necessarily if it was legal, though there's a good chance it would be the best thing to do. But I'm just not an advocate for giving how much, to me, the least desirable feature of Legacy is the amount of shuffling and like tiny operations and how time gets shaved off the round that way. Survival is another offender in that camp.
I think that Survival is show and tell level powerful, but I don't think that that's a bad thing.
I like Survival better than Show and Tell because Show and Tell is pretty straightforward with what you're going to do with it. You're going to identify the best permanent in the format and put it into play. We've kind of seen the same thing going on for a couple of years now. At least with Survival, it's, new content came out. Maybe there's new cards that I can incorporate to my Survival deck. It really only started to go off when Vengevine was added to the picture, and that's a pretty innocuous looking card by Legacy standards. So I like Survival from that feature.
Yeah, I was a pretty big fan of Survival, actually. I think that, the Survival decks that did dominate for, it felt like maybe a 6 or 8 month run. I think, like, those decks were really good, but I didn't feel like those decks were so broken and unbeatable. I think that it took, because Legacy, it takes people a while to adjust. I don't think they ever really found the way to adjust to it.
And if the Legacy Open existed, the Legacy Open series existed back then the way it does now, who knows? Maybe there would have been more tournaments and more money at stake and people trying harder. There would have been more adaptation. But for me, the shuffling argument is the most compelling.
Anderson did take a mulligan to 5 here, and there is a Chain Lightning to get that off the table. When your opponent does mulligan to 5 in this matchup, do you just fire away and kill everything?
Yeah, I'm much more liberal about it.
Okay.
Especially when he has creatures in hand. He has 2 copies of Goblin Guide, so he can use some burn spells and then start attacking with his Goblin Guides. He can recoup the damage that way.
Anderson, all I can do is pass the turn back. The ability to search for Dried Arbor with that Wooded Foothills. Camidge going to sacrifice Scalding Turn right away, go get a mountain, go down to 19 to do so. And we might see double Goblin Guide here in just a moment.
And I like starting off with the Chain Lightning instead of the Goblin Guide here. He's got to be very conscious in these post-board games of Progenitus.
Here come the Goblin Guides. It's time to trigger once. Cradle. Trigger again. Behemoth. Might see a fetch line activation, so he doesn't draw that.
I should hope so.
And there is a fetch line activation. Anderson does have a copy of Abrupt Decay in hand, so we might see that get fired off here as well. Question is, does he want to search for a non-basic or just a basic forest? It will be a basic forest to lessen the impact of Price of Progress. No guarantee that that's still in after sideboard, but smart to lessen the impact if you can.
It seemed like the easiest cut here. And Bryan's brought in Ensnaring Bridge. We know for sure he's brought in the Searing Bloods. So he's probably gone pretty deep in the sideboarding, I would imagine, removing his Price of Progresses and his copies of Sulfuric Vortex. It looks like we have a shuffling malfunction.
Whoops. I suppose we'll fix that. Counting the deck is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Might not want to look at those. There,
Yeah,
we go.
May want to just let the judge handle this one. That's okay.
That could get a little hairy.
Let's just stop. It's fine. We have professionals here; they can handle this.
It looks like we're going to bring it back to us here really quickly while they do sort this out, because who really wants to look at that?
Right.
Just an embarrassing state of affairs.
We can take a pause here.
So Survival is a no-go for you.
I think so.
What is a card that can be unbanned?
I think Black Vice is pretty safe.
Okay. Is Earthcraft banned?
Probably, yeah, it is.
What does that do again?
I think that you can tap a creature you control to untap a land, I think.
Oh, so Squirrel Nest Earth. Well, I don't know if that'd be good enough, but that's a thing.
Probably not.
Come on.
I would be surprised if that was good enough.
That'd be sweet if that was good
I'm
enough.
not sure if that's exactly the text box in the card, but I know there's some combo with Squirrel Nest and a land, and then you make a million creatures, and then maybe you win the game next turn.
Yeah.
Or Joel just isn't Staticasters you, and life goes on.
Or you get Terminus.
You get Terminus. Well, I mean, then you make a million squirrels again the next turn.
So you win the game.
Yeah.
There has to be a reason that Earthcraft is banned.
It's a holdover. And maybe And maybe they're just kind of loath to unban more combo enablers because Legacy has a lot of that going on.
All right. Yes, that's true.
Like the last unbanning, I believe, was land tax, and
Yeah.
that's not going in any sort of combo deck.
Also didn't have an effect on things. Deathrite Shaman. Cradle going to tap for another Deathrite Shaman. I've seen worse mulligans to 5.
Yeah, although he is out after this.
Camidge going to play a Wooded Foothill, see if there's a searing effect there maybe. Going to start with Goblin Guy coming into the red zone. Time to trigger. Natural Order on top.
Uh-oh.
We'll take 2, not a 15. This could get difficult.
Well, he has 2 options here. He can bolt and fire blast the 2 Deathrite Shamans away and hope that Ian has nothing. Or he can cast Ensnaring Bridge and hope that Ian can't break out in time.
All right.
He has a lot of power in his hand. I think I would go with the Ensnaring Bridge route because he has 10 points of burden in his hand.
He has to spend Rift Bolt. Snaring Bridge real good in this matchup. Not the end-all be-all, but still quite good.
Well, it's something that can just get caught up in Abrupt Decay. It's not going to be good in 100% of games. It's going to be good sometimes.
Lightning Bolt looks like it wants to go after something. Camidge giving this some serious thought before firing it off.
Yeah, I think it's fine to bolt the Deathrite Shaman here because it means that Ian has to sack his last remaining Deathrite Shaman to put Progenitus into play. And then if you deploy the bridge, then he's on nothing versus your bridge.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Someone on Twitter is very smart. Blake Nemi, I think. If I pronounce it wrong, Blake, I apologize. Earthcraft in combo elves may be good.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's a... Wow, are we stupid?
I don't
Man.
even, I mean, is that
Elves
even...
is just on the screen.
Are you positive that's even over the line, though? You have to have a board and cradle and all that for that to be really
It's
big.
probably really good in that deck. Just gonna put that out there. It's
Eh.
probably good. Yeah, let's find out. Let's just unban it.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Here's Natural Order. See if it's gonna be Progenitus or... It could be Rurik.
If that's still in the deck.
I could leave it in.
Rurik the Heart would be really great here, actually. That could be the lock.
Could he win? Oh, no. Oh, no. I don't think he can win if there's a Rurik Thar.
Oh, he's putting
Oh,
up...
boy.
Depends if Ensnaring Bridge is on his radar here, because there's some charm in getting Progenitus, but... if this Ensnaring Bridge sticks...
The reason I like Rurik Thar is because it's so much better against Bridge. You know, like Rurik Thar is good against Bridge, and if there is no Bridge. But Progenitus is only good if there is no Bridge. Oh no, he looks like he's gonna get Progenitus. He's so close. Yep, he's gonna get Progenitus. I like Rurik Thar there because if Camidge, first of all, Rurik Thar's gonna deal 6 right away because of Rift Bolt.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts Camidge down to 13. Then, when he casts Ensnaring Bridge, he takes 6 again. So that puts him down to 7, and then that basically stops his ability to cast spells. And then all we can do, Deathrite can get to work, and then eventually you can find Abrupt Decay and likely kill your opponent.
Yeah.
So I think in that situation, if I was Anderson, I would actually get Rurik Thar. Rurik Thar on the screen. Yeah, there's a Cradle.
Yeah, Rurik Thar, I think, is the more dangerous target there.
You saw Anderson go through the deck and search that up and then maybe second-guess himself a little bit. Here comes Rift Bolt.
The issue with Rurik Thar is that Rurik Thar might just die. It just eats 2 bolts, and then where do you go?
Take 12.
Sure, and now here, I mean,
Yeah, he's got Deathrite Shaman in play. That's...
fair enough. I mean, this is Ensnaring Bridge or bust is the upside of this. Rurik Thar is still conceivable for him to lose in a normal game.
Also, Earthcraft only untaps basics.
Oh, so it doesn't...
It doesn't
Yes.
work a Cradle.
Some ban that thing, whatever.
Another bolt.
Uh-oh. I mean, we're getting in range.
You're telling me that a legendary Hydra is being defeated by a bridge right now?
It is really disappointing flavor. But you have to take some concessions with the flavor in a trading card game. We've had River Boa carrying a Bone Splitter for years now. This is just kind of how it goes.
Look, I get it. It's a scary bridge. But that thing has like 100 heads. We need a flavor judge.
We do need a flavor judge.
We need a flavor judge here. I don't think that this should be how things should go. Certainly working to Bryan's advantage right now.
I think Bryan should have kept that land in his hand last turn in case he drew Searing Blaze.
There's an Eidolon.
Eidolon's a perfectly fine draw here.
I think in this situation, right, you'd probably just like fire off all your spells and then play Eidolon. Yeah, you just go bolting. And then you play Eidolon, and then, you know, you're so far ahead in the life race.
With Fire Blast in hand,
Yeah.
that's a good setup.
Seems like a really tough game for Ian to win. Take a draw now.
Eidolon's a nice tool in this matchup, too, once you get into spots like this.
There's Rift Bolt on suspend. He can actually just lock him.
I'm just casting that bad boy.
Yeah.
Lock him up. Can't even cast Scavenging Ooze if you just cast it.
You know, suspended here, though. Scavenging Ooze comes to the top. Might get a little ugly.
Yeah, it's live.
Yeah, it's the best draw. That or Zenith or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
it's good. Zenith actually still alive, too, because you can Zenith for more. He can Zenith for 3
Right.
to get Scavenging Ooze, because it would be extra less to be able to put it in play. So that's a live draw here, especially when you have a Cradle in play.
You don't always have to suspend the Rift Bolt. Just cast that bad boy. But Eidolon just locking it up here.
Walking Pyrostatic Pillar.
Getting it done in Standard.
Getting it
done
done
in
Legacy. Probably getting it done in Modern at some point. There's Deathrite. Gonna go down to 6.
I think Bryan's about to move on to the finals.
Yeah, gonna untap. This is gonna come off. Put you down to 3. And of course the trigger there for Eidolon gonna deal damage too. That's a Fire Blast. Target you. That's gonna do it. Bryan Camidge is gonna win this match over Ian Anderson. And we have Burn in the finals here in Vegas.
It's been a while. It's been a real long time. But 2 very difficult matchups wait for him in the finals, potentially.
Yeah, either Elves or Miracles. We're going to be joining that match here in just a moment for you guys, of course. Figure out exactly where we're at there, as we haven't had an update just yet. So I imagine if there's no update, we're still in game 1. I think we know who's winning.
Yeah, more than likely it is in the counterbalance player's favor.
Yes.
We shall see in a moment.
And we have just been informed that William is up a game. So not too much of a surprise there. And we will get that set up right now. We will bring it back to